All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose the next monster. It's a big favorite of mine, and I didn't even make it. It's the Gnome Squidling.
Yay!
So
Cute
this
guy.
this has been talked about quite a lot by me because, well, whenever you get a monster that you even helped in having come about and shows up in a D&D book, that's kind of like a big day.
Mm-hmm.
But this came about because I asked on Twitter, what happens when mind flayers change a gnome? Is it like a tiny, adorable gnome flare?
Yeah.
And artwork was drawn by Max Dunbar of this nightmarishly cute little guy in an outfit, who looked very wizardy and tiny, short little mind flare. Well, my wife wanted something a bit extra, and she sent a drawing to Richard Witters of a gnome flare with tendrils so long that it used them to walk, and had a tiny chibi body and tiny little legs. And that is how this came about, because Richard Witters actually drew a drawing that is almost dead on to this. I'd be shocked if it wasn't Richard's as well.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about this is, first off, ugly cute will win me over every time. Ugly cute is powerful, and even these things have mind flayers hate them. They think they're aberrations, and anytime an aberration thinks something else is an aberration, that makes me laugh. The fact they're called Squidlings, they only have 10 hit points. They have an armor class of 8. They're not very fast, but they do have like deep speech. They do speak gnomish. They have innate spell casting. They can levitate at will because they kind of need to, because they don't have the body to get themselves moving around. But boy, if they get you, they got magic resistance. And even though if they try to grapple you or whatever, it's like a DC 7. If they get you down and you've got a couple of these on you, they can just pop your brain right out. It's save or die time.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5d10 piercing damage. If they get within range of you enough to incapacitate you, it can just pop your brain right out of your head.
Yeah, I mean, this is a CR1 creature who has the potential, the unlikely potential, but the potential nonetheless to deal 27 plus damage in a single hit. The fact that it's immensely unlikely, that its saves are all like DC 7 and it has plus zeros to hit across the board, it's like, well, the odds of that happening are low. But imagine the story of everyone. The party is beset by actual mind flayers, by full-on mind flayers, and a couple of these squidlings are just like crawling around like babies in diapers, just kind of climbing around. And they they gum you, and suddenly your brain is pulled out through your ears. It's like, oh no.
Well, it's all on that saving throw. It's a DC 7 intelligence saving throw, and this comes to what I love. I love seeing art form the monster and inform the monster so well. Mind Tickle is an ability of the Squidling that it can magically, emit a psychic energy in a 30-foot cone. Each creature must make an intelligence saving throw DC 7, or it takes 1d4 points of damage, or 2 if you want to go flat.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also stunned until the end of its next turn. Mm-hmm. Things can go bad real quick because all you have to do is you basically have to roll 1 or 2 or 3. Like, you have to roll bad, but you might. People might not get to you in time.
People roll nat ones every day.
if the party isn't sticking together, if they get separated, these little cute, adorable monsters can just pop that brain clean out and you're done. And I honestly, I gotta tell you, if the Gnome Squidling kills you, well, I mean, that I think you've won. You got killed by a Gnome Squidling. But they are that kind of save or die. Like, they have that same fear factor that intellect devourers kind of have as well, where you're just like, ooh, this could go bad, real bad. Not as powerful, but still, if you wouldn't want a horde of these things coming at you, forcing you to roll saves over and over again. It would get really bad. But yeah, so the fact that, of course, I am biased, obviously I'm biased, but the fact that my wife came up with this kind of weird creature. I'm delighted it's in a D&D book, and I love these stats. So yeah, watch out for the don't dismiss the gnome squidling. Beware. What you got next?
This is another creature that you suggested, Todd. We have started talking about gods and their mighty divine power, ancient dragons, horrors of the frozen wastes, and we have worked our way down to gnome squidlings and Icewind kobolds. We started big and we are ending small here. Even though they are reptilian creatures, they are not cold-blooded lizards, and kobolds can exist in just about any climate where dragons can be found. And as we've seen today, there can be white-scaled dragons who exist in sub-zero Arctic climes. And so there are such things as Icewind kobolds. I love that art of the 3 kobolds in a trench coat.
Oh, it's so good. It tells a story.
It does. 10 Towns is a place where criminal scum and other people who simply want to disappear from the realms make their way to, and people try not to look too closely at one another.
Yeah.
You don't want to get involved in something you don't need to be involved with. And so if you're 3 kobolds and you want to take a tasty wheel of whale cheese from someone's table, then you just dress up in a big old parka and you go for it.
See, I adore this concept because it does show you like this weird what might be under that hood. Maybe a cold light walker, or it might be 3 kobolds in a trench coat. This is key to horror, is to have these kind of funny moments. And it is also what I like about the 3 kobolds is an opportunity for something even more horrifying. Mm-hmm. Perhaps these 3 kobolds in a trench coat stole something from you. Mm-hmm. And then you think you see the same kobolds running through the ice, and you grab its arm and you turn it around and it's a cold light walker, right? Or a zombie. It's not the comical thing that you thought you had just encountered at all. You've encountered actual pure horror.
Yep. And we've got some funny kobolds here. Kobolds are funny. They're cute.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a kobold that's a little bit less cute, because there are some deeply horrific kobolds in this adventure, including kobold vampire spawn, whom you can find within the caves of hunger. Listen, I would not want to walk into a group of 3 of these in a trench coat. Yeah. These are servants of a gnoll vampire named as Tekeli Lee, who dwells within an ancient ice chasm within the Reged Glacier. And these creatures are, they're very much like kobolds. They're a little dim, they're hardy, they're determined, they approach in packs, and they're not quite as strong as regular vampire spawn because they are still kobolds. But nonetheless, just like you were saying about those gnome squidlings, if you see a pack of these, an entire pack of kobold vampire spawn running at you, clamoring out of a darkened ice chasm, you want to get out of there fast.
I have to know, do they get pack tactics?
They do.
Oh no.
They do, and they regenerate like vampires do. They, just like vampires, are weak to sunlight, but hey, guess what? In Icewind Dale right now, because of Oriel the Frostmaiden, the sun never rises, buddy. These vampires do what they want in eternal night.
Yeah, it's that 30 days of night scenario. Like, why didn't we come to this town before? Like, of course the vampire, of course you're going to see some weird vampire stuff happen here. In Icewind Dale, and this is the weirdest of it. These are terrifying. I'm sorry. I know they're only challenge rating 3, but like, don't be scared of that. You're not going to encounter one.
No.
Again, if you want to make something tougher, add some more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the D&D encounter builder is really great, or the D&D Beyond encounter builder is really great for just like upping the scale of encounters. How many more creatures do you need to add to make a relatively underpowered encounter scary for higher level players? Yeah. It will tell you. It'll tell you in a snap. You can watch the difficulty of encounter climb graphically as you do so.
Oh man, I mean, and the image of maybe 3 vampiric kobolds in a trench coat trying to get someone to invite them into a house, right? You know, but you
Oh my
have to
God.
invite all 3. So like maybe only one of them can get in. Like, what are the? I call upon Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford. So if 3 kobolds in a trench coat are vampires, do they all need to be invited in, or is it enough for only one of them to be invited in?
Yeah, you hear the guy squeak, "May we enter?" And you're like, "We?" I mean me.
If you, that's how you have to do it. It has to be a little bit of wordplay. It's kind of like, well, what happens if the diamond's only worth 499 gold pieces, and you still get that resurrection? Well, it's technically it was marked down, so it doesn't work. Yeah, that's how it goes. I love this. This art is horrific, though. It is like the other end of the gnome squidling, I would say. This emaciated kobold. I don't know if people play kobolds. I don't feel like enough do.
No. Kobolds are worth playing.
I feel like, in a group, especially getting pack tactics where everyone gets advantage. I mean, they're not given their due. We got a question in chat. I'm running a session 0 for Rime of the Frostmaiden on Sunday night. Any advice for a green DM running this game? Well,
yeah.
Horror is a big deal. So I would check in with your players about anything that's a no-go for them. Yeah. You know, things that make them uncomfortable. You know, if there's a lot of body horror fears, you know, I use a lot of body horror in my games, so it's a good thing. You never know. You know, I've played with people who nothing bothers them, and then it'll be this one thing like teeth, anything with teeth or something, or fingernails. And
Todd, am I able to drop links in chat? I should just try it. Can I do that? Yeah. I wrote an article last week called "How to Create Terror Without Being a Jerk," and this is full of good advice for anyone who wants to run Rime of the Frostmaiden and do that horror thing and kind of turn the dials and adjust where you want it to go.
Yeah. Checking with your players. Obviously, you want that sense of mystery, so don't tell them necessarily the monsters that you're throwing at them. It's a fantastic article that's on the front page right now. I would definitely give that a read. Other advice. So you're a green DM. Watch a lot of horror movies. Understand that though you are at a table with a bunch of other people and shared storytelling, so that how you do horror in those scenarios is a little different. You don't have absolute control, right? But definitely I'd watch a couple of recent horror films, like What Creeps You Out. I don't know your age range. I'll tell you one of the scariest movies I've seen in the last 10 years is It Follows.
I'd give another piece of advice. Everything that Todd just said is great. Making sure you know how horror stories click is great. I would say that Rime of the Frostmaiden is definitely an adventure that will make full use of your DMing skills. It's an adventure that doesn't hold your hand a lot, and in many ways that can be good. But if you're not super comfortable running pre-published D&D adventures, you may find at points that you're a little bit lost. Your players may have gone off the beaten path. They may have gone into territory where you're expected to improvise, and that can be challenging. It can be really scary to suddenly find that the adventure no longer has your back. And the number one piece of advice I can give you, especially if you're not super used to running D&D, is this will happen. No matter what you're doing, whether you're making your own game or you're running a pre-published adventure, you will have to improvise and you will have to think on your feet. And that the best way to be able to do that is to have a couple of ideas just in your pocket already in case things go awry. It's never a bad thing to just drop a sudden combat encounter on players to buy yourself some time to think of the next thing to do. They wanted to buck the quest hook in 10 towns. That's fine. They've been ambushed by a pack of Icewind Kobolds. And suddenly you have a full combat encounter to think of. Okay, what will happen in the next town when they get there? Will people be ready to welcome them with open arms? Will they just go straight to the inn? What characters, what NPCs do I need to know? Yeah, and if it really comes down to it, you should not feel any shame in telling your players, hold on, I didn't expect you to do that. Give me 10 minutes to think of what to do next. And that feels a little embarrassing, I think, the first time you do it, because like, oh, Matt Mercer doesn't have to do that. But man, he's been doing that for 20 years. I guarantee you that everyone started by asking their players to be patient with them.
It's good that you're green, because the fun part is, as you DM more and more, you're going to look forward to the chaos. I love it when plans fall apart. I love playing characters who don't succeed at anything they're trying to do. It's a very weird thing, but like, you get used to these structures and you set up these grand adventures and you do write stories, or you're running a story. But if players take it in a completely absurd direction, or a direction you weren't expecting, you will find that you love these moments where you get to improvise and you feel like you've added to the story yourself. And hey, don't be afraid to, instead of 3 kobolds in a trench coat, put 3 gnome squidlings in a trench coat. Just knocking on doors, eating people's brains, one door at a time. But yeah, I think that's about all the time we have. Thank you, James Haeck. He's our lead writer on D&D Beyond. Check out his fantastic articles. We have lots of articles talking about Rime of the Frostmaiden that really well. They very much help support that. And this, we're going to have a way more in-depth article about the topics of the monsters that you will find in Icewind Dale. That's coming out tomorrow, and that's written by Joey. And it is going to be fantastic, because I said so.
Is that a threat, Todd?
It's a very public on-air threat. Everyone knows I am a cruel and terrible boss.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Be sure to check out Rime of the Frostmaiden. Is one of my favorite D&D adventures ever written. I am not joking. I love it. So have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.